Our e-bikes are super capable out there on the trails, but there's a few things that we come across out on the trails that can make even the most competent rider struggle. Going to be taking a look at a few of those things today and how to overcome them. So what happens when the trail becomes too steep? We can't actually even ride up it, or there's big obstacles in the way like rock steps, things like that. There's a little button on your bike called the walk button. It varies on a lot of different manufacturers and different motors, but you'll find somewhere you'll have a button you can press which actually activates that motor up to about 3-4 miles an hour. Nice and slow. Basically all it does is just takes that weight away from the bike when you're pushing it up that hill. You don't want to be lugging that big 20-25 kilo bike. So what we do is just activate that walk button by pressing it or pushing your lever, and that will help that bike go up the hill slowly without actually doing anything. What you do need to watch out for, obviously the pedals are going around, so you don't want that to clack you in the shin or your leg, so just make sure you're keeping an eye on those that are spinning. And also it helps just to downshift, I find, into a slightly harder or higher gear, and it will let that back wheel actually drive that bike up the hill a bit faster and get a bit more assist. So I'm just using that walk button now, just getting a good line. There's a big step here, so I'm just going to go into my bottom bracket lift and get up this last step and carry on my way. So when it comes to lifting your e-bike, it becomes quite a big thing. They're quite actually heavy. A lot of these bikes are over 20-25 kilos, so getting a good lift technique is really going to help out on the trails. First things first, what I like to do, just turn that motor down so it's off. It just means any little pedal strike on those pedals when you're lifting the bike, or it clips a tree or the edge of the gate, means sometimes that back wheel can engage that motor, trapping your fingers or giving you a big tire burn off the back wheel. So just make sure that motor's off. The basic lift technique to get your bike up onto anything fairly low is just to get under the bottom bracket. I like to go down nice and low on this. If I pick my e-bike up just from the top tube, I can only lift it about that high. Going down deep, grabbing it underneath the bottom bracket gives me that lot more height under the back wheel and front wheel, so I can just climb up nicely onto any size obstacle. Sometimes that seat, you can get that under your shoulder, lift it up, nice and easy, and away. So what we have behind me here is probably the biggest nightmare of an e-bike rider's ride. It's the 5-bar gate. We all hate stiles, gates, getting off our bikes and lifting them over. But with good technique, they're not that much of a problem. The technique I like to use on this one is the rampage style lift. All I'm doing is getting my e-bike, straight away I'm turning that power off. Just make sure that power's off, just in case you clip a crank and that motor engages, you don't want to get your fingers caught in that chainring. Next, I'm moving my non-drive side pedal up to 12 o'clock. Getting a good handful round the seat tube and the lower fork leg lowers, giving that a quick lift up and aiming to put that motor straight up onto my shoulder. So I'm going to lift it up over my head, resting that motor on my shoulder, and I'm going to walk towards the gate, lift it up high, swift movement, dump it down back wheel, hold it by the stem, balance it on there. I'm either going to climb over or walk around in this instance. Now this is an extreme lift where you're going to need that bike off of the ground, because sometimes you need a hand free, sometimes you can even climb up sheer rock faces with this. This is an extreme one. They're great at climbing. We all love doing a big climb on our e-bikes, but occasionally we all fail. Sometimes you might hit a root, a rock, wheel spin and come to a dead stop. The bikes are quite heavy, so when they do come to a stop, they do come to a big stop. Getting that momentum going again can sometimes be an issue. Sometimes you struggle with grip, power modes, things like that. Here's a few tips to get going on that climb and make it to the top. So we've got quite a tech climb in front of me here, lots of rocks, roots, things like that can cause wheel spin. If I do come to a stop, I'm going to show you how to get that momentum going again using a few little tips. Oh, God. So as you can see, straight away I've stopped, I've wheel spun on that log, and I've got that big heavy bike trying to go backwards down that hill. So straight away I've got my foot down, got both brakes on, balancing the weight of that bike, and I'm going to move it across that hill so it doesn't want to try and go down. That way I've got a lot more control of that bike, and it isn't wanting to flop straight down on me, slide backwards. And if it does slide, I can slide with it. So just get that bike sideways straight away to the hill. Next step is to get that seat down, out of your way, drop that dropper. And what I like to do is just try and focus, try and find a nice line of where I'm gonna go. Also, a good little tip now is to change it up. If you're not in that turbo mode already, click it up into turbo mode or high power, boost, whichever you've got on your system. And I just like to use that walk button just to change it up into the easiest gear. So I pulled my front brake on, I've lifted that back wheel up, holding the walk button down, and I've changed that into the easiest gear. That way I know I've got as good a chance as any of getting that momentum going across the hill. And what I've done also to shallowed that gradient out. I'm not pointing straight up, so I've shallowed it out. I'm going to come towards you and then carry on with my route up that hill, hopefully keeping that momentum. I've got to be really careful on the power here, not to get any wheel spin. Ensure I get a good drive. Momentum is key. You've got to keep that momentum and build it up as you go up that hill. So let's try and recover from that messed up ride. So I'm just easing on the pedals, nice, getting on the power, picking that line and away. So you might be wondering why we use that walk button instead of just pushing through those gears. The reason I use the walk button to cruise up into that lower, easier gear is basically just to avoid that risk of chain snapping. If I pedal off from here and crunch from like third to first gear from here, it's going to mean that chain is under a lot of load from me and the motor. It's really going to increase that chance of the chain snapping or again a wheel spin. It's just not going to be as smooth as setting off from a gear that you're already dialed in and ready to set off up that climb in. So e-bikes these days have some amazing suspension on them, some of them up to about 200mm. They're never going to match your body for travel. When I mean body travel, I'm on about the movement in your wrists, your elbows, your arms, your upper body, your back, your knees, your ankles. Every little joint in your body is actually suspension, and you can use that when you're hitting some rough stuff out on the trails. If you tense up and go all stiff, that body isn't moving. All you're relying on is just tires, your suspension on your bike. It's going to be a hell of a rocky ride. You're not going to be very in control, so try and use that body as much as you can. So for example, I'm going to hit this part of the trail now. I'm just literally going to use the bike suspension. I'm going to be stiff, you know, not using my arms or my legs, and watch how out of control this looks. So I'm just nice and stiff. Okay, so I'm going to hit the same bit of trail again, but I'm going to utilize good technique. We use my arms, elbows, and my body suspension. It's going to be a lot smoother. Just compensating for that bike moving. Every bit of movement I feel through the suspension, I'm going to move my body and match it. So just check out how much smoother this is with good technique. It just looks a hell of a lot smoother. I'm not getting bucked around. I feel a lot more in control using my body and using that suspension. So don't forget to subscribe to EMBN for more awesome content. We've got loads of good videos on here as well. Check out the epic slab ride video here. We've got how to ride natural trails faster down here too. Don't forget to drop some comments in the box below and give us a thumbs up if you like the video.